I'm 100% sure you keep hearing that AI is going to change everything, transform the world, and reshape the entire job market. You've probably got Claude open in another tab right now, and somewhere in the back of your head there's this nagging feeling that everyone else is squeezing way more out of it than you are. And let me be the first one to tell you, my friend, that feeling is correct. And it's not because you're behind. It's not even because you're not smart enough. It's because nobody ever showed you that the little box you've been typing into is hiding a big secret. Because if you think that Claude is just one tool, you're probably wasting about 90% of what it can actually do. And trust me, I would know, because I've spent the last 2 years basically living inside this thing, testing every single feature the day it dropped, using it to build real tools that genuinely changed my life, as well as running an entire business off of it. So when I say most people are barely scratching the surface, I really mean it. Because Claude is 7 completely separate tools hiding behind a single chat box, and almost every single one transforms how you use the model, with the last one being the most powerful by far. That's why, in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to walk you through all 7 and give you an actually good use case for each one. And I can promise you, a couple of those are going to seriously make you wonder how you ever used Claude without them. Starting off with one of the most useful features Claude has that you absolutely have to be able to master. And for this one, you actually need the desktop version of Claude because it doesn't work in your browser. Now, once you have that open, let's click over on the left and switch over to the Cowork tab. Now, Cowork is honestly one of the most powerful features inside Claude because it allows you to use the exact same top-of-the-line models like Opus and Fable. But instead of having a scary terminal looking over you, the entire thing looks like your normal chat interface, with one massive exception. You're actually allowed to let it interact with anything you can link it to. You can point it at a folder you want it to work inside, and it opens your files, reads them, edits them, and builds new ones. So all the stuff you'd usually have to do manually, the stuff that just eats up your time, can now be done straight through Claude without you needing to do anything but give it a simple prompt. So let me actually walk you through how it works. I'll go ahead and open a new chat window in the top left corner. You want to connect it to a folder. I've created a sample one for this showcase, but you can just give it access to any folder you want it to work with. Just keep in mind that this is still AI and you want to be careful about security. Then you can either make it ask before it edits or let it edit without asking. I'll leave it on ask for now. And then for the model, I'll stick with Opus 4.8, just because it'll be more than enough for this run through. And for the first test, we're actually going to use it like a normal chat and ask it to build us an Excel sheet directly inside the folder. I'm going to ask it to research the best travel camera under $1,500 and build that into an Excel sheet. It might ask us a couple of follow-up questions, which I'll just answer by clicking on them. It'll then fill a progress bar you can track live, showing all the steps it needs to complete the task. And once it's done, you get something that looks like this. A really nice looking table with all the breakdowns, well researched because it has access to the web, created right on our computer without us needing to do anything. But besides just creating stuff, like I mentioned earlier, it's also able to just work on your stuff without creating anything new. So I've got this pretty messy folder right here and I want to organize it. So I'll switch over to a new chat, connect it back to this folder, let it access everything, paste in this prompt, and after a couple of minutes, you get a nicely organized folder, sectioned out by different folders so I can always find what I need fast. But instead of just doing stuff when you ask, Claude can actually do stuff while you're not even home. Because if you download Claude's mobile version, you get access to some of the best features you can have on your phone right now. By the way, if you want to access every single prompt I use today, a cheat sheet of which of those 7 tools to use and when, alongside some other secret tools, you can actually grab that completely for free in the description below. The absolute easiest way to think about this one is like a walkie-talkie to your home computer. You can fire off a message from your phone, and your Mac or PC sitting back at home will actually do the work. So if I go to the Claude app on my phone and click over to the dispatch feature, it opens up this conversation that I can start off just like I would normally do, as if I'm prompting in the chat on my PC. And what's so cool about how it handles it is that when you send something over, Claude works out what kind of job it has to do on its own. It digs through files, pulls research together, and works exactly how your usual Claude would on your main machine. So I've just asked it to open up a contract in my work folder, check it for any renewal date and any hidden fees, add our new clauses, and text me back exactly what it finds. It then asks me for a couple of permissions, runs through a few checklists, and texts me back the result, with a message that it succeeded in all the findings. Now, one thing you do have to note is this little online button up top. And what that means is that to use this feature, you have to make sure your home computer is open and logged into Claude. So you can't just control your PC from your phone if it's completely shut off or asleep. But other than that, this is a really good feature, especially if you're on the go and need something done. Now, this next feature is one I see very few people use or talk about. And honestly, it's because so many people just think of it like it's a fun little gimmick, right up until you realize just how much you can do with it. The feature is artifacts. Most people who've bumped into this one think it just pops up on the right side of the screen when Claude writes some code or throws together a quick chart. A preview and that's it. And for a long time, that's really what it was, but it's actually become something a lot bigger, and the numbers say it all. Since it launched, people have created over 500 million of them. And the biggest change is that it's no longer just a preview. You can make ones with Claude's brain directly inside them. So instead of a widget, you get a working app app that thinks for itself. This could be a study tool, a game, or even a spreadsheet you can talk to. Now, I'm building this one inside Cowork instead of a normal chat, and there's a reason for that. In a normal chat, what you make is just called an artifact. In Cowork, you get something called a Cowork artifact, and that's what we're making here. The difference actually matters. A normal artifact is a snapshot. It shows whatever was true the moment you built it, and then it's done. A Cowork artifact stays plugged into your data. Every time you open it, it quietly pulls the latest from your connected apps and files, so it's showing you today, not the day you built it. It even gets its own tab in the Cowork sidebar, so you can open it anytime like a document, and it keeps a full version history, so every change is saved and you can roll back whenever you want. To start it off, you just click New Artifact, then create Cowork Artifact, and we're building. It then uses a visualization tool that lets Claude generate interactive charts, diagrams, and visualizations directly in the window. And once it's done thinking, it gives us something like this. When I first started using it, I asked for an interactive monthly budget tool where I type in my income and it shows me what I can save each month. And this is exactly what we got back. It breaks down my spending into the main categories, and we can even add our own. We can change the currency, tweak the budget, and everything looks super high quality, fully interactive, and most importantly, saved right there in Cowork, ready to use for months to come. Now, since we're on the topic of good-looking tools, there's one feature we absolutely have to talk about, which is honestly a feature that has a lot of designers stressed right now. Claude Design works completely differently from most AI design tools because it operates pretty much like a real designer would. Before you make anything, you can hand it your brand, your logo, colors, fonts, even your entire website, and it pulls all of that apart to build a proper design system out of it. From that point on, everything you create comes out on brand automatically. On top of that, it builds you a real editable file that you can fine-tune down to every small detail. And most importantly, you can always open it in most other editors with every single layer. Like the text, still editable so you can change a word, shift the formatting, and resize whatever you need. So let's actually go ahead and test it out. In the desktop version, at the bottom left, you can click Claude Design and it'll pop up in this new window right here. Here you can first create your project by naming it and deciding whether you want a high fidelity or a wireframe website. I'm personally going to go with high fidelity because I want that top of the line quality. And this opens up a window that resembles most AI website builders out there. So I'll just drop 2 screenshots I took from an Apple website and then write out this prompt and ask it to build a landing page for my email list in the same style as the attached screenshots, ensuring it follows a traditional landing page layout, features high converting copy, and uses purple as the accent color. And after you click send, it'll ask you some follow-up questions. So I'll just go ahead and answer all of them quickly. And once your answers are locked in, it'll start building the website. And just a couple of minutes later, we get this result back. I personally think it looks really nice. It got pretty much everything we asked for. The website looks like a traditional landing page. It translated that Apple aesthetic and included all the other instructions we gave it. The best part is how editable everything is. In the top right corner, you have 3 different features. The first is markup, which lets you select specific sections of the website and comment on them. The second is edit, where you can change everything yourself right down to the millimeter of the layout. And the last one is comments, where you can drop a little marker on any part of the site and leave a note for the AI to go fix. Another great touch is on the left here, the design files themselves. It gives you a tidy folder that keeps everything organized and lets you hand it off to someone else. Say a virtual assistant who'd set the website up for you. But probably the coolest part is that it doesn't force you to stay inside Claude's own features. It actually lets you take your work outside of them, which is a feature you can access by going to the Customize tab and then clicking on Browse Plugins. Then if you select connectors, you get access to a huge range of tools that you can control straight from Claude itself. Because out of the box, Claude has no idea what's on your calendar, what your Notion workflow looks like, or how to launch a couple of Zapier automations for you. With connectors, you can use Claude to command each tool and change its contents. So let's go ahead and try it out. I'm going to connect 2 of them. The first is the calendar. You can either search for Google Calendar or just scroll until you find it. And once you do, you click on this little plus icon. That'll ask you to log into Google and grant it permission. And from then on, you can run your calendar straight from Claude. So let's test it out. I'm going to ask it to find me a free 2-hour block before Friday and add a time block to work on next week's content. And once I do that, it automatically uses the right connector. And just like that, it makes the edit, which I can now see in my Google Calendar. The second connector, and the one I love most, is Notion, because I rely on it for all my note-taking. And being able to use Claude and Notion as one thing is honestly a game changer. So for this one, I'm going to ask it to go online, research the best weekly meal plan for muscle growth, and add it as a page in my workspace, formatted nicely. And after just a couple of minutes, it does exactly that, giving us a really nice looking result. But the thing that matters even more than the result is just how many connectors we still haven't touched, which means you'll 100% find something you use in your day-to-day that can now be connected to Claude. But there's still one more thing any Claude user absolutely has to know to call themselves a master. This tool is the closest thing Claude has to a cheat code, and I still see a lot of people never bothering to set it up. Think about how you use AI right now. Every time you open a new chat, you're basically re-explaining yourself, giving it the situation, information, prompting it the way you need, telling it how you like things done and how the whole process will go. You're teaching it from scratch over and over and over. Skills are the fix, so you never do that again. A skill is just a packaged up job, something you define once, with the exact steps, your standards, and the way you want it done, and hand to Claude for good. From then on, you never have to explain it again. And the best part? You don't even have to ask for it. Claude recognizes when a task matches one of your skills and pulls it up automatically, so you'll almost never have to prompt it manually. So let's actually set one up. In my work, I often have to review different agreements, checking whether they're risky, contain unusual clauses, or are missing critical information. Also, I can make the best possible decision. AI is perfect for this because it can read a huge block of text and pick out exactly what you need, which means this whole process can be turned into a skill. So I'll open a new chat window and paste in this prompt. Claude takes a moment to load a couple of its own skills to help build one, and at the end it hands you a fully packaged skill that's ready to test and use anytime. One important note here: once Claude gives you the skill, make sure you click Save Skill. Do that and it's locked in and ready whenever you need it. Honestly, when I first started making skills, the hardest part was resisting the urge to turn everything into one, just because it's so easy and the results are so good. Now that the skill is ready, let's test it on a demo agreement. I'll ask Claude to run the red flag checker on it, and there we go. It went through the entire agreement and pulled out all the critical, high, and medium flags in just a couple of minutes. And there's a way to take this even further. If you head into Scheduled, you can set a task that runs this skill on a whole folder of agreements every day. So throughout the day, I just drop new agreements into that folder, and the skill fires once for the entire folder and hands me one big list of everything it found. So let's set it up. I'll click New Task, set it up manually, and give it a name, something like Daily Review. The description will be to review the agreements in the agreement folder using the red flag checker skill. Then I select the folder the agreements actually live in and make sure it can act without asking so it never interrupts me. For the model, I'll leave everything on its default settings. Frequency, daily at 10 a.m. when I'm awake and working on something else anyway. Click Save, and just like that, we've automated the skill we just built. But there's still one tab we never opened, and it houses the most advanced, impressive tool Claude has to offer. The tool is Claude Code. But even though this tool is all about coding, Claude Code is the one tool on the whole list where you're probably writing less than anywhere else. You never touch code, you mostly just talk to it. Now, with that said, let's switch over to Claude Code, start a new session, and let me quickly walk you through what's happening. In the bottom left, you have a few permission modes. Most of them are self-explanatory, but the plan mode is the one I usually recommend starting in because it lets the AI map out the entire process before it starts building. Just like a human, the AI makes fewer mistakes when it works out a solid plan first. Then on the right, you have the models you can pick for the job. I'll stick with Opus here. And you can also set the effort you give the model, which basically controls how long it thinks and how thorough its answers are. The higher the effort, the more it costs, but the better the results. Then you can, of course, link it to any folder you want. So with that, let's start with the project I've got in mind. I want a simple habit tracker I can run on my computer where I can add habits, check them off daily, and see my streaks. Keep it clean and minimal. And that's it. I don't really have to give it any more than that. Now, one thing you might be wondering is how this differs from Claude Design, which we tested a few minutes ago. Well, Design makes things that look really nice. A landing page, a poster, a mock-up, something that looks like a finished app, but is really more like a picture of one. Claude Code builds the actual working thing. The buttons really do something, and all the mechanics run in the background. Click Generate, and it'll start searching the internet to build a proper plan. Once it's done, it drops a couple of questions for us to quickly answer, so it nails a result that matches what we actually want. Then it presents a plan that we can either accept or tweak, and if everything looks good, I'll start the generation. While it's generating, I'd recommend keeping an eye on what Claude is doing so you're ready to approve if it asks for the go-ahead on something. Once everything's done, we get this result right here, opening up in the preview box on the right. And right off the bat, it already looks amazing. But the most important thing you need to know about Claude Code is that it'll almost never be perfect on the first try. You'll always find something you don't like, and that is where Claude makes it incredibly easy to fix it all. Down in the bottom left, there's one button I haven't mentioned yet, the microphone. If you click it, it starts recording your voice. So you can click through every single button, look at every single thing the tool made, and just talk through what you like and what you don't. Then you send that whole brain dump to the AI, and it goes and changes everything you mentioned. But even though we've just talked through 7 of the tools Claude is made of, this is still barely scratching the surface, both in how deep each one goes on its own and in all the other tools that exist besides Claude. Most importantly, if you think back to the internet, 6 years after it reached normal people's homes, we still didn't have the iPhone. We didn't have social media, and we didn't have most of the things that ended up running our entire daily lives. All of that was still ahead. And the people who leaned in during those early years, the ones everyone else thought were wasting their time, those are the people who built the entirety of the internet from the ground up. AI right now is younger than that. Regular people have only had this in their hands for a few years. We're standing on the exact same ground floor, and the 7 tools I showed you today are just the basics. So a gap is already opening up. On one side, people who pick this up early and make it a part of how they actually work and live. On the other side, everyone's still using the most capable tool ever built like it's a glorified search bar. The reality of it all is that most people watch watching this will land in the second group. Not because they're lazy or stupid, but because they'll close this tab, feel impressed for a couple of hours, and never take that next step. And to be completely honest, I really don't want that to be you, because to actually master all of it, I've made it as easy as I possibly can by building a school community around that exact thing. It's called AI Fluency, and it'll take you from complete beginner to scarily good with AI in just 12 weeks, with daily video breakdowns and almost daily projects that go way deeper than what we did today. So if you want to become fluent with AI, click the first link down in the description below and join me inside AI Fluency. Either way, the fact that you've made it to the end of a video like this already puts you in rare company. So whatever you decide next, go ahead and put this stuff to use. That's the entire point of it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you inside.